Thank you so much for showing up. I know it's terrible weather out there, so we appreciate it.
Really came through for us.
All right, so you can turn to someone next to you and answer this question. That'd be great. So the question is, what are barriers to living sustainably as a college student? So anything you can come up with.
All right, let's bring it back together. What did you guys come up with in your group discussions? Everybody shout it out, what you're thinking.
It's kind of talking about accessibility. Like personally, my parents, they compost at home, but I don't really know ways to compost here. Interesting.
All right, that's true. Okay, anything else?
Time and money constraints.
Yeah.
So as a student, you don't necessarily have. Sorry. It was way out there, I know. But.
Cool. Definitely. We were discussing over here, we were talking about how like the cheapest things are usually not the most sustainable. So you can get your hands on plastic pretty easily. That's pretty cheap. But obviously like to take more sustainable, make more sustainable efforts, it requires more money, it requires more knowledge, more time, all of that.
Great. So,
Oh,
we will go on from this one. We're going to start with energy.
yes, so we have some energy tips. All right, so I think like the basic ones, right? So unplug your devices. And obviously, every time I don't know, has anyone heard of phantom energy? Or phantom loads?
Yes, vampire
Yeah.
energy, is that the same thing?
What was that?
Vampire energy, is that the
Yeah,
same thing?
essentially, yes. So if you don't know, leaving your devices plugged in is still requiring energy, so even if you're not using them. So that's one of the biggest things that like you usually hear when you're trying to save energy and save money, is to just unplug those things, kind of cut that energy use there. And with that, like there's things like the power strips, which are super easy. You can get those at thrift stores, so it's pretty easy to get your hands on. It's really cheap. Get them for like $2, and it's a little bit of hassle to try to get everything plugged in there. But after that, it's as easy as a little switch of a button.
You don't have to keep unplugging each individual appliance.
Yes. Yeah. So that makes that really easy. Turn down your thermostat. Turn down your thermostat. I think that's a huge thing during the winter. Obviously, we want to be warm, but keeping your room heated, keeping your apartment heated really requires it. Obviously, it's costly. So Katrina was actually mentioning this, how in your apartment, you guys just snuggle up, right? Like you layer. So obviously it's convenience. That's definitely what it comes down to. If you want to be warm and be able to walk around during the winter in your shorts and a tank top while you're in your apartment, then obviously you're going to go for the heater. But if you really want to save money, save energy, then turning down the thermostat and just using a blanket, layering up, walking around in sweats over shorts definitely does it. Switching to LED bulbs. They can also be pretty pricey at the beginning. They're definitely a lot more affordable now than they were a few years back. But compared to maybe fluorescents, they might be a few bucks more. But they'll also last a lot longer, so you're going to have to replace them less often, and then they require a lot less energy in general. The next one, wash clothes with cold water. I was reading something that said that 80% of the energy used when you're running your washer is to heat the water. So that alone just does it. Just use cold water. And then also in the terms of laundry, using a drying rack over the dryer definitely works. That's what I do. I have this little collapsible drying rack that I bought at Costco for $20. And I just pop that up and hang all my clothes on there. And that also keeps your clothes nicer for a lot longer, since you're not running them through the dryer. And it saves you those few bucks for the drying machine. I know at my apartment it's like $1.75 per load, so that's a few bucks right there. And then the last one, the most obvious one, the bike, walk, or take public transportation. I was also reading another article that said that the most cost-effective green car is the one that you already have, as long as you just drive it less. So I thought that was a great point, because a lot of times you think that the only way to get around it or to be eco-friendly when it comes to driving is to go for the greenest car, which is also usually the most expensive or can be pretty pricey. So just sticking to the one that you already have, and then driving it less, it saves you on parking, saves gas money, and it's better for the environment. And then walking and biking, great forms of transportation. And also with the biking, Just a little plug here, we have a bike ride on Friday from 2 to 4. So if you're interested in biking but have never kind of like, don't really know how to bike in a city or the proper ways of doing that, like I don't know how. I mean, yeah. So like that event will show you how to like the quickest routes and how to be safe about it and all that. So definitely check that out.
And another thing too, obviously a lot of people here use Uber, which like if you're still set on having some sort of quick transportation of the car, that's gonna save you money. Then maybe you don't have to buy that car in general. You can do like ride sharing and carpooling and stuff like that too. Cool. So we're now gonna move on to cleaning, which we kind of talked about a little bit. So one of the really big things that people focus on a lot is like green products with cleaning. Those can be a lot more expensive than regular products, or even just in general, regular products are expensive. And so like the average amount for like an all-purpose cleaner is like $3 to $5. And that can be something that you use depending on how much you use and how often you clean your apartment or your house. You can do that on a monthly basis or depending on how long you can stretch it out. But another thing that you can do that can save a lot of money is use a lot of household objects and like cleaning supplies that you already have that you might use for your daily use. And these include vinegar, like diluted and undiluted, baking soda, rubbing alcohol, and ammonia. I don't know how many people just have ammonia, but it's something that you can buy in a really large quantity, about the same amount as you would buy like a smaller bottle of like, you'd be using it for like Clorox or something like that. And so with white vinegar, that's something that you can use like in like your bathroom surfaces, so your bathtub, your sink, anything like that. And the smell actually does disintegrate after a while. Like if you just let it dry, it doesn't smell like vinegar in there, I promise. And then baking soda, you can use that for like water rings and stuff like that in your sink and in your bathtub as well. Rubbing alcohol you can use instead of Windex, which is actually something that I had no idea. And I have that for just general use, like as like a like to clean your wounds and stuff like that. So that's something that a lot of people already have, and so you can put that in a spray bottle, or you can use it with like a paper towel or something like that, and wipe it on your ears or your windows, and it cleans them right off. Also doesn't smell for very long. And then ammonia you can use as a general all-purpose cleaner as well. So that one you can buy, like I said, in a big quantity, and you can use it as the same way you would use like Clorox or anything else like that. And these smells you can also mix with lemon juice and something, so that if you really are focused on having that clean smell, like for me that's really satisfying after I clean my bathroom. So that's something you can also do. Another thing, if you are trying to clean your sink and you have like a garbage disposal, you can throw like a lemon rind or an orange rind down there, and the oils that are in the lemon rind will also clean the blades that are in there and also sharpen it. So it just kind of is a better way to do it than like Drano or something, unless there's something like really stuck in there, or like a spoon. Then maybe you should do that. Then don't do that. But you can use those as well. And that smells good. And then also, so this is just kind of in general, I don't know if anybody like is really looking forward to doing this, but I thought this was really cool and I want to try it. This is just like a recipe that you can do for like a stronger all-purpose cleaner instead of just ammonia. So like you can see, it's like a tablespoon of clear, non-sudsing ammonia. Like, there's a difference. I had no idea between sudsing and non-sudsing. And then dishwashing liquid and 2 cups of water. And it's like a really strong cleaning solution that you can use in the bathroom or in the kitchen, and it works really well. And then moving on to like cleaning your body. So one really big thing that you can do to save on the plastic that you use in your daily life is to switch to bar soap from liquid soap. So liquid soap in general is more expensive per wash than bar soap anyway. It's about 12 cents per wash versus less than 2 cents per wash for body soap, bar soap versus liquid soap. And then also liquid soap takes a lot of plastic and petroleum just to produce the packaging that it's in already. And so if you're purchasing bar soap, sometimes it comes without a package at all, or if it does, it's just a paper product that you can recycle, and then it reduces the amount of waste that you're creating from purchasing those plastic products, and they usually last a lot longer as well. So kind of lots of different ways that it cuts back on waste just by purchasing the bar soap, and they're often the same amount if not cheaper. And then in general, if you purchase them locally, if you go to like the farmer's market, or sometimes there's like general flea markets, people will make them at home, and those might be a little bit more expensive, but you're also then cutting down on like transportation costs and fuel costs that go into that. bringing those from like other parts of the country as well. So depending on what your budget is, it will be a little bit less expensive, but depending on where you purchase them from, that can change as well.
And I know a lot of people usually think of like body wash and bar soaps, but there's definitely like shampoo bars, things like that, so. Food, important one. Well, we were discussing on this side, we also like brought up things like organic food and how that's really expensive. So food in general can be pretty pricey. Trying to eat healthy can be pricey. So just some tips that we came up with for food stuff. We were saying use reusable containers. If you make your food at home, you're obviously saving money there. But if you're having to buy Ziploc bags, let's say, to bring it with you, then like you have that cost of the Ziploc bags. As soon as they run out, you're going out and buying more. So just using a reusable container at first, up front, it might be a little pricey, but you just wash it, take care of it, and you can use it for a while. Making coffee at home. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I definitely hear my friends complain about how expensive coffee is. So if you're definitely drinking that on a daily basis and going out to Starbucks and buying that, that adds up. So just making it at home, making coffee, tea, your own food, whatever you like, smoothies, making those things at home definitely saves money. And you also have control of what goes in it, which is great. Shopping smart for fruits and veggies. That goes back to the point of eating organic. I know we oftentimes just hear like, you should buy organic and buy locally produced food and all of this stuff, but it's obviously pretty pricey. I was reading an article that made a really great point of buying organic, but not necessarily overdoing it. So not having this idea that you have to buy every single thing organic. There's actually a Dirty Dozens list. If you look it up, it tells you what really matters, like what you should really buy organic. So things like strawberries and like just berries in general. I can't remember, was it apples? Okay, leaf greens. Yeah, certain items definitely should be bought organic, but then there's other stuff that it doesn't really make a difference. So if it doesn't make that much of a difference and you're on a tight budget, it's better to just go with things that really do matter, in my opinion. Let your fridge go empty. So one of our interns that we work with actually made this comment, and I thought it was great. The big thing with sustainability and trying to be sustainable is reducing, obviously, the food waste, right? And food waste is such a huge thing. As much as you try, we oftentimes aren't that great about reducing that food waste. So letting your fridge go empty was a great way to put it. She made this point of essentially letting your fridge go empty. So going with what you have, eating what you have, regardless of, oh, I'm not craving it. Like, don't go off of those kinds of things. Like, really go with what you have. And then once you really don't have much, then go out and shop again. So I thought that was a great point. And then use the resources on campus. There's things like Slow Food and UW Food Shed, which provide these fresh produce for free. Has anyone heard of UW Food Shed? And yeah? Okay, well, UW Food Shed has some fridges around campus. They have one in the SAC, one in Science Hall, and a few others. You can definitely look them up on YouTube and like find their locations, but they'll post on YouTube like when they get fresh produce, and you just walk up to the fridge, grab what you need, and that's it. It's free. And then Slow Food has some meals. I think they do like once or twice a week. They cook some really healthy meals for like $7. They also have a program, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially you can pay for someone else's meal, or if you can't afford the meal that day, you can use that program and get the meal for free. So
Like a pay-it-forward program.
yes. Oh, the room. Yep.
Yeah.
That's as well.
Awesome. So then next is shopping. This might not be a huge thing for everyone, but it's something that's really interesting to touch on that a lot of people don't know about. So the clothing industry is actually the second dirtiest industry behind big oil, and that's something that a lot of people aren't really aware of. It's something that I didn't know about. And one of the main issues of that is with the whole fast fashion movement, and just kind of like the general quickness of trends that are going on, and then like the tendency for people to purchase new items as they go along as well. So another fun fact is that the average American has about 300 articles of clothing at a time at home, and that's even like on the lower end. I think there's definitely some people who have more, and obviously there's a lot of people who have a lot less. But it's definitely something that no matter how hard you try to be as sustainable and as environmentally conscious, there's definitely some factors that are playing into your carbon footprint that you might not be thinking about on a daily basis as well. And so while there's definitely lots of different factors that go into how often you can purchase your clothing and how interested you are even in purchasing new clothing, these are some things you can keep in mind. So one thing is definitely to shop secondhand. So that's something that probably seems kind of obvious, but like even I catch myself sometimes not even thinking about it. Even if like with fast fashion being such a big thing, lots of trendy clothes can still be like found secondhand. This doesn't even just apply to clothing, it can apply to like anything that's secondhand. If you're going camping or if you're doing anything outdoors, like purchasing used equipment is like a huge cost saver, and it's probably still really good quality and everything like that. And then having clothing swaps with your friends, this is another plug. ASM on Friday is doing a clothing swap. You can bring your own clothes and then you can take clothes with you. You don't have to bring your own clothes to take clothes. It's just kind of a way to encourage, again, not purchasing new. And then another thing, just to kind of keep in mind, if you are shopping for new clothes, to consider the longevity of whatever you're purchasing. So if it's something that kind of goes into more of like the trendiness aspect, like if it's something that you think you'll be able to wear in 5 years, or like not necessarily like if you want to wear it. So that's something you should keep in mind, like the whole like classic pieces versus like the trendy piece at the time. Another fun thing is if you're really into this, there's something called like Project Free 33, so that's a challenge where you have 33 articles of clothing to wear for about a month. And so it's a lot harder than you think it would be. Like some people, if you actually look at the image of like what it encompasses, it seems a little bit limiting, but then you realize that there's lots of different things you can do with such a small amount of clothing. And then another final thing is if your budget is really tight and you can't really purchase new clothes, but you really need some, like your pants or something, like have a hole in the knee or something, but they're your favorite pair of pants, that's happened to me, lend your clothes. And that's a really big thing that I think a lot of people have forgotten how to do, just kind of like as the time has gone on. There are ways you can do that. There are some classes that you can look up that are like $20 to do like a beginner sewing thing. You can also go to Sohi, they have lots of different programs for that. Or you can also just YouTube it. You can just get like a needle and thread, you don't have to have like a sewing machine or anything like that. But that's another thing you can do to increase the longevity of anything you own. That can include like reusable shopping bags or anything like that as well.
So the takeaways. All right. So.
Yeah. So one kind of big thing is just like to buy less, buy quality, and that comes in with the clothing aspect, but it also comes in with food. So if you're purchasing like kind of like your ramen noodles kind of thing, and you're doing it a lot more often, that's gonna be essentially if the same, if not similar to if you're purchasing like a really nice quality meal that's gonna last you for a little bit longer. And then, yeah, again with clothes, purchasing them less frequently, kind of sticking with what you have for a little while.
All right, and the second point, buy used, as we mentioned throughout, you can find anything used. St. Vinny's, DePaul is a great one. There's a few locations in Madison. That's the one that I usually go to. I'm sure there's more. But yeah, definitely check out thrift stores, or if you're not into thrifting, asking friends, like if it's something that you need for one-time use, why go out and spend your money on it when you can definitely borrow it, you can rent it, or just get it from a friend or a family member that's willing to let go of it.
I have a friend who shops her friends' closets often, which is really an interesting thing that I had never thought about, but like asking your friend, like, can I just like go through your closet? And like if I ask you if I can have it, you say yes, then I get to keep it. And then it's another way, like maybe you always admired her shirt and you really secretly wanted it, but you don't want to say anything.
That's another, there's also this idea of shopping your own closet, right?
Yeah.
Like I think as women we often hear that, like you don't know what you have, or it's quite easy to forget what you have, so just taking a look in your own closet before going out and spending money. So yeah, and then make it yourself. Like we were talking about with the cleaning products and just a lot of things in general, if you make it yourself, you can customize it to your liking, whether it's like scent or what's actually going in it, making sure that it's like safe for products, safe for ingredients, and it's also usually a lot cheaper. So like,
a lot more fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm just gonna make a quick note on composting because I know Scout, you mentioned that. There's definitely, composting is one of those things that comes off as really tricky, and if you don't know much, it's kind of easy to stay away from it. But I think campus makes it really easy to get involved. There's an organization called FH King. So they have a drop-off site in the stack on the 3rd floor. So if you just go with this idea of like freezer compost, so I have a container at home that I just store all my food scraps in, and then when I have a chance, I drop it off at FH King or like other places on campus, and that makes it really easy, and it's obviously free. So yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Or even your own tips
Yes.
that we didn't cover? Yeah.
Making your own beauty products. So like
Yeah.
I like to use like coconut oil for like a moisturizer, and I put it in like chapstick. So I'll actually make my own chapstick with like shea butter, essential oils, and coconut oil, and beeswax. But then also like for soap, like I'll buy like a big bottle of Dr. Bronner's castile soap, and then I can make my own where I add maybe a little bit of coconut oil to it, and then whatever essential oils I want. So kind of went up the customizable piece of it. You know, you can add whatever scents you want to it, and then you know, I just have that in like a reusable foam bottle. You know, that I could have thrown away, but I decided to keep it. You know, just like a soap dispenser or whatever. But now I use it in the shower as like a body wash. So
Definitely.
That's a super good idea. I've always admired people. Like I saw this big BuzzFeed video that was about how women made their own makeup, and I was just like so like astonished like how they could do that. I was just like, oh my god, that's amazing. So that's really cool. That's awesome. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anybody else?
This definitely isn't for everyone, but using soap nuts instead of laundry detergent.
Right. Yes.
But they're like this berry that you can like put in a cotton bag and throw it in with your clothes, and that'll wash it. Like it washes my clothes just fine. And it's cheaper.
Yeah. Any other ones?
following up with the whole beauty thing,
Yeah.
too. So like, people who wash their face every night and use like, there's a lot of single-use stuff with beauty products. So like if you buy like the packages with like a towelette or whatever, you can actually make something very similar using like witch hazel and different things. And you can just buy like baby washcloths and then have them in a container. And then as you use it, you can just put it in your laundry basket and then wash it and then reuse it.
Definitely. And on your note of coconut oil, I use that as a makeup remover, and I think it works great.
It
So
works as a fantastic.
yeah, so things like that, coconut oil, looking for products like that, it can have multiple uses. They're great. Yeah, that's all we have. If you guys have any questions.